Hello everybody, hope you're doing fantastically well. It is Connor here and we are back with another video. Can you believe it? If you haven't checked out the content over the past 3 or 4 days, make sure you go back after this video and do so. We're here with another video today, and this time it's a video that I've been wanting to do for a while, but I've been nervy about doing it for obvious reasons, with my club being in disarray really for the past 2 or 3 months. But also I think now is the perfect time, with the amount of games that we've got left, to really analyze where I think this could go right and where I think this could go wrong. So today we're going to be getting into why I think these 3 teams are going to get relegated from the Premier League. So we'll be going through my final predictions at the end of the video. So make sure you stick around till then. You might have heard my predictions on the Blue, White and Yellow podcast. However, I've changed them. After extensive research, I have changed them. It's been a meticulous look at exactly what can go on, the form table, the managers in question, the managers' conduct over these past few weeks, few game weeks, and as well the fixtures, obviously, that these teams have got left to come. So this is interactive. Make sure you get in the comment section below exactly what you guys think. I'm sure there are a wide variety of opinions out there, and why this is so interesting is because, me being a Leeds United fan, my club is still in the mix. So let's get on to the fixtures of each and every club off the bat. I think we're going to touch on Everton first. I think they're the most prevalent club at this moment in time, and I'm going to say off the bat, guys, we are not including Brentford in this. And I know that'll upset a lot of Leeds fans. I just think they're going to have enough. I think with the games remaining, they've got a few teams in the bottom 8 or 9 at home for the remainder of the season. I think when the going gets tough, all these long throws, the set pieces, whatever, I think it'll come good for Brentford, to be quite honest with you. I think they'll be able to grind a few wins out, especially with Ivan Toney up front as well. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see with that one. Hopefully they do get dragged into it, and they're not on the beach yet, because they seem to be playing like they're on the beach. But we'll have to wait and see. I'll tell you what we'll do originally is we'll talk about Leeds' fixtures, because I think, we can all relate, can't we? So these are our remaining fixtures for the remaining part of the season. So let me know what you think in the comment section below with regards to the points total here. But obviously Leeds have got 8 games left. We've played 30 times in the Premier League. And I think Leeds now on 29 points. We've played, as I've said, we've played 30 games, 3 more than Everton, 3 more than Burnley, which is key to note. But I think the next 2 are defining for Leeds United. And I think this is what I was talking about earlier on in my video. It's really, really key for Leeds fans not to get too excited with the last 2 wins, which have been brilliant. They've got us, they've maintained that gap. But that 3-game buffer that Burnley and Everton have over Leeds United is definitely something that you have to take into consideration. Of course, we want points on the board. Of course, that's more beneficial and advantageous to a club, but the games in hand are still games in hand. And I do still think with Everton and Burnley, there are some favourable games coming up in those 3. So Leeds with Southampton and Watford up next. The destiny is in our own hands. We can get out of this very, very quickly. And, Leeds United are 4 points off 13th now, or it might be 4 points off 14th. Obviously, our goal difference is horrific, so that would work against us. But a win against Southampton, or even a draw at Southampton and a win at Watford, I think between those 2 games, you're looking at a minimum 4 point, really. I think it's going to be 35 points to keep a team up, but I think that those 2 games are going to be quite good games for Leeds, touch wood. I think we'll get minimum 4 points there, which would take us to a very, very healthy gap. I think you're probably looking at 33 points there. And then for the remainder of the season, obviously, we're going to have to play Chelsea at home, dependent on their fixture list. Hopefully they might rest a few players. Crystal Palace, obviously, they've got the cup game coming up. Crystal Palace, it's key to note that Palace have lost, I think, 4 games at home all season. They've been absolutely excellent at Selhurst Park, so that will not be easy. But if Leeds can drag out a draw there, then we've got a really tough run here. And if Leeds if we're able to get 4 points there minimum, then we'll be on what, 33 points. It's still going to be really, really tough if you look at it with these fixtures remaining for Leeds to pick up, in my opinion, another couple of points. And you guys might look at the bottom there and say, Connor, we're getting 3 points there, we're getting 3 points there. But, you know, these two teams, well, they might be safe, but Brighton and Brentford are not going to do Leeds United any favours at all. You know, they've been trying to drive some history with us over the past 3 or 4 years, and I just don't think they're going to be doing any favours for us. So it's going to be a really difficult run, and I still believe. But I think Leeds United have got enough to get out of this. I really do. I haven't got a position where I think Leeds are going to finish. That's not the sort of purpose of this video. The purpose of this video is to just concentrate and look at why I think Leeds will stay up. The man management, I think, is absolutely pivotal in this running, and we're going to talk about other managers and their man management style, but I think Jesse Marsch has got it absolutely spot on. I think he's not detracted so much away from the Marcelo Bielsa methods, and that's evidenced in the 4-2-3-1 formation that we're deploying quite a lot now. I think he's reverted from the 4-2-2-2 system after the Villa game and reverted into a more wide option, sticking with the Bielsa principles. And essentially, we were able to get the job done at one of the toughest grounds in the country to go to, Molineux, without about 7 of our first team players. So that's a big advantage. I think the arm round the shoulder, the fresh voice has done absolute wonders. I think Jesse Marsch is a very, very intelligent man, and he's done it the right way. I think there's other managers who haven't done it the right way. Jesse Marsch, so far, has been talking the talk, and I think he's walked the walk as well. The highest XG numbers we've been putting out all season collectively. We've been a little bit better defensively as well. And yeah, it's a little bit different, but we are still incorporating those really, really attacking methods that got us so far with Marcelo Bielsa. So that's really, really key to know. I also think on set pieces, we're looking a little bit better. So the tactics are a little bit better, although I don't think tactics in this running need to be looked at that much, really. I think a lot of it's about grit. I think a lot of it is about determination. And I think a lot of it is just about putting in those hard yards to keep your team up. So I think Leeds will be absolutely fine. Let me know in the comment section below what you guys think. And I think the Wolverhampton Wanderers result has really helped me in that sort of mind process, to be quite honest with you. So next up, we are going to go to Everton, mate. We're going to go to Everton. I'm going to discuss their fixtures because I think Everton are very, very interesting. And why they're interesting, well, it's just even these last 2 games here, you know, a brilliant win against Newcastle, a really, really good win at Newcastle, where, you know, down to 10 men, they were absolutely shocking, but they got it over the line. Alex Iwobi, 99th minute. Watford game, obviously they've got still to play, but it's key to note that Everton have got the worst away record in the country at the minute, in the country being the Premier League. So yeah, that's really key to note. So it's all on Everton's home form for me. They are 12th in the table, which is actually extremely good for their home form. And I think this is very, very obvious with Everton that they need to make Goodison into a fortress. And I think they've shown against Leeds, when I thought the atmosphere was absolutely fantastic, to be fair, from the Everton fans, absolutely hostile. Every time Leeds players were getting the ball, they were booing, and that went on for 90 minutes. I thought it was very, very similar against Newcastle, to be quite honest with you. And sometimes oppositions shrink, you know, when they shrink in these sort of atmospheres. So I think that's key to know. Heart and desire with Everton, that's something that I do question. And the only reason I question that is because, you know, you look at players like Anthony Gordon, players like Dominic Calvert-Lewin, who I think has been really hampered by injury. So, but questioning his desire and heart wouldn't be right of me, because I think he's got that in bundles. Anthony Gordon is the key man. He is the obvious person I think who's going to galvanise Everton. I think he's galvanised them already. He sort of initiates that press in the first 20 minutes. He puts the tackles in. He's the one who sets the tone for Everton during a football match. And I think that's really, really key to know. He's going to be pivotal, you know, maintaining his fitness. He's going to be absolutely of importance when keeping Everton up, to be quite honest with you. So heart and desire, I do question it with players like Donny van der Beek. I do question it with players like Dele Alli, to be quite honest with you. I do question it with Andre Gomez. I do question it with other players in that fold, to be quite honest with you. They brought players in January, Mikolenko and Patterson. That hasn't worked. They've barely been given minutes. Bad off the pitch, it's bad on the pitch at the minute, and Everton are in real trouble. As I said, Goodison's got to maintain a fortress, but just when you look at these fixtures, West Ham away, you have to keep in mind that they're appalling away from home. West Ham, they have to start improving that Everton, otherwise they're in deep trouble. Burnley away, that's not going to be easy at all. So you've got 2 games coming up there where if Burnley beat Everton, that really puts the cat amongst the pigeons. You've then got Manchester United at home. Now, this is one that I'm looking at and thinking Everton are going to get something. I do look at that game. A lot of you guys might think, what? But I think, there could be a point there where that top 4 race is near completion, really. I mean, Arsenal have got a fair few games in hand. What are Manchester United going to be like? They've got an awful record at Goodison as well. As you can see there, Everton still have to play Crystal Palace at home as well. Palace battered them 4-0, but at Goodison, it's a different story. Leicester at home as well. Now, listen, we're not being naive here. Everton aren't going to win all of these home fixtures. They're not. They're simply not going to win all of these home fixtures. But if you look at the fixtures that they've got left, a lot of them are doom and gloom, especially when you look at Manchester United, Liverpool, Chelsea. But I think when we've seen so far this season that when Goodison is on pomp and the players are in that first 20, 25 minutes when they are absolutely flying at the opposition, you even saw it at Palace at the weekend. You saw it against Newcastle at Goodison. For the first 20 minutes, they're all over you like a rash. If teams fold within that 20 minutes, that is where Goodison and Everton are going to be a real problem, even regardless of the form that they're in. Bear in mind, as I've said multiple times, they are 12th in the home form table. Still got Brentford to play at home. So even if you just discount all those away games, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4. You got 4 home games there, haven't you? I believe. Is that right? 1, 2, 3, 4. I can't count. Yeah, 5 home games there. So you've got potential of 15 points. I'm not saying they're going to pick up all of those, but you'd probably be targeting 9, 12 points there and maybe picking up a couple of points away. So it's really interesting when we're looking at Everton. Now, the big thing with Everton for me is the guy in charge. Now, if I'm a player, if I'm a football player, and he's coming out and saying what he's been saying after the Crystal Palace game, where he's essentially saying the tactics are absolutely spot on, it's the players' fault, it's the fact that they're not committed enough, the fact that they haven't got the confidence, they need to be getting up for these big games. They were on the verge of Wembley and they decided not to carry out my tactics. That's in complete comparison. This could bite me on the bottom, but this is in complete comparison to Jesse Marsch, who's taking the players under his wing. He's been very, when we lost against Aston Villa, he said, look, it's my fault, this, that, and the other. I wasn't able to get my tactics across. The players didn't understand, but we'll get there in time. That is a completely different rhetoric and a completely different way of going about things than turning around and saying what Frank Lampard has just said after the Crystal Palace game. And he's been saying it as well throughout. There's always deflection, deflection after the Manchester City game. He was blaming the penalty decision. It was a shocking penalty decision, but it always seems to be deflection with Frank Lampard. If you remember, it was always deflection at Derby as well. Derby County, obviously, we experienced him there. Anytime it went wrong, anytime it seemed to be going under the mire for him, he'd deflect. There's never any personal reflection. There might be behind closed doors, but to the public, where the players can see it, where the owners can see it, Frank Lampard is very much, I will blame the tools and not myself. So that is something that I think could work against Everton, to be quite honest with you. And as well, he doesn't seem to be, I think a lot of Everton fans are questioning Frank Lampard, because when I see Everton away from home, they don't seem to have a tactic that is different to when they're at home. At home, they're absolutely flying. There's intensity, there's a press. But I think he needs to vary up the tactics, vary up the formations, because he needs to start getting points away from home. And so far, he's not been able to get that right away from home. And that's absolutely pivotal in Everton staying up. So, yeah, very, very interesting. I think the thing to focus on with Everton as well is when you look at the squad depth, you look at players like Richarlison, you look at players like Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Dominic Calvert-Lewin is nowhere near the player he was before his injury. You look at Anthony Gordon, even when you look at players like Dele Alli, Doucouré, Allen, they've still got players of real, real quality. And I think that's why we're all turning around saying, Everton, surely they can't go down. You're never too big to go down. A la Leeds, a la West Ham, a la Newcastle. So that's definitely got to be taken into consideration. Everton's home form is absolutely monumental in them staying in the division. So next up, what we're going to look at is we are going to look at Watford's fixtures. Let me know what you think in the comment section below, guys. Are you in agreement with what I'm saying so far? Do you think that Everton have got a good chance of staying up? Are you sort of turning around and saying that they're in the mud already? Watford are a really interesting team. If we just scroll up here, a real variance in results. At home, it's key to note they've lost 8 games on the bounce. 8 games on the bounce, which is I mean, that's absolutely massive. And I believe just before that as well, they got smacked by Norwich 3-0 at home, which is staggering. But Watford have got a really, really bad home record. They are the worst team in the division at home. And I say, you know, when you've got a relegation running, your home has got to be the fortress. You've got to make that place rocking. You know, and that's when Leeds go down there in what, a couple of weeks' time, 10 days' time, we've got to beat Watford down there. Their home record is absolutely horrendous. So they've lost 8 on the bounce. They've only won 2 at home all season. But their away form, they are 12th. And look at this here. I mean, they've got absolutely hammered by Wolves. You know, not everybody can do Wolves. But you know, look at Manchester United there, 0-0. You look at away at Aston Villa there, 1-0. You look away at Southampton there, 2-1. Some really, really good results there for Watford away from home. And what I'll say about Watford is they're a little bit of a weird team, a little bit of a strange team. And this is where it could play into their advantage, because I think out of the bottom 3, I look at Watford, and especially with those results recently, away at Southampton, away at Aston Villa, away at Manchester United, expect the unexpected with Watford. That is a very, very key position to be in. It's a very, very good position to be in because they're unpredictable. And that is what the other teams in and around the relegation zone, including Leeds United, don't like. We like to be able to look down the fixtures and say, lose, 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 win, win, win. That's not Watford. And they've still got those danger men up front. You look at Ismail Sarr, you look at Joshua King, Emmanuel Dennis especially. They can hurt teams. I think their rear guard in the midfield is average, Kuka, Cleverly, and then you look at the back line, I think it is bang average. But you look at that front 3, and it is very, very, very good quality, good caliber. You know, a lot of those players would fit into a lot of Premier League teams. They are not championship players. So that's very, very key to note as well. So looking at these fixtures, they've got I mean, straight away you've got big game. I mean, no game in the Premier League is easy, but straight off the bat you've got Liverpool away there. Watford as well, guys. Just to bear this in mind, Watford have played, I believe it's 30 games. Is it 30 games? Watford, I think it is 30 games. They're level with Leeds. Or they might have played 29. I think they have played 29 actually. So yeah, Liverpool away, you would presume that's a loss. You would hope that's a loss. Leeds United, now what a game this is on the 9th of April for both sides. Watford, as I've just said, dismal form. Then they've got Brentford at home. Now this is where they've got to start picking up wins at home, but it's that form, isn't it? It's that home form. So you look at straight away their away game there with Liverpool, and even though they've got good away form, that's a loss, isn't it? The 2 games against Leeds United and Brentford are pivotal, because then their away form's not going to pick up, in my opinion, because they're going to Man City. So you've got 4 games there straight off the bat where Watford need to be picking up minimum 6 points if they're looking at surviving. Once again, Burnley at home will not be easy. Will not be easy. Burnley go into Dyche mode, don't they? Round about this point. This time in the season, it normally kicks in at about March, April time. But then they've got a really winnable game away at Palace. You look at that away game, you look at Watford's away form, 12th in the division. That is a game they will be targeting, but we know Palace are a good team. And then Chelsea. So what I'm trying to illustrate here, guys, is Watford have been extremely good away from home, but you've got Chelsea away, Palace away, who've only lost 4 times at home this season. You've got Liverpool away and Man City away. So that away form is going to have to turn into home form, and their home form is absolutely turgid. But Roy Hodgson can shore up a team, and he will adapt. He will be pragmatic. He will have 2 different formations, one at home and one away. He will make them difficult to beat. And by God, he'll be working on that in the international break. He's a wily old fox, is Roy Hodgson. He kept a dire Crystal Palace side in the Premier League for a number of years without really any backing. He did extremely well. So that's something definitely to note. They are a bit of a wild card, Watford, but I think they might be a little bit up against it. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Now we move on. Finally, I believe this is the final side. It's Burnley. So now this lot are just a nightmare, aren't they? You always just want to say they're done. You always just want to say you're done. I think it's key to note as well. Leeds United, at this moment in time, 8 points ahead of Burnley, but Burnley have 3 games in hand, and they have good games in hand as well. So obviously, Burnley have, I believe it's 11 games to play. They're on the same sort of trajectory as Everton, who have the same amount of games to play as well. 27 games played already each, but they've not got an easy assignment when they come back into it. You know, Burnley, Turf Moor, that is somewhere where they really can make it a fortress. 100%. Burnley at home to Manchester City, I think that's going to be a defeat. Although Man City are faltering at the minute, they're not scoring as many goals. A lot of you will hark to the Southampton game, but it all turned on a penalty decision in the Southampton game. It was very, very even, and they've been faltering a little bit. A couple of draws here and there, and yeah, very, very interesting that one. So Burnley, Manchester City, all of these games you can see Burnley. If you just look at these categories here, these games here, you can just see Burnley picking up points here. The key thing to note, however, is they've only won 3 games all season. I believe they've drawn something like 12. It's ridiculous. So yeah, Burnley, then they've got Everton at home, which I can see them winning. I can see them getting something at Norwich. West Ham, I think, might be a bit difficult. Burnley, Southampton, they've got a lot of these games. So you got Southampton at home, Wolves at home, City at home, Everton at home. So you look at the ones that they're likely to win. Newcastle at home are probably going to be on the beach. You got Watford away. I think Burnley have probably got the best running, to be quite honest with you. And they've got a very decent run. And if you look at it, they've got barely any of the top 2, 3, 4 to play. Obviously, they've got City in there, but the rest, it's not really. You're even looking at Wolves there, aren't you? And you're thinking a lot of these teams are going to be on the beach. Burnley, very interesting. And is it going to be Dyche time? We all know what that's about, don't we? When he just decides to come into his own at this point in the season. But this is something that I wanted to touch on as well, guys, in terms of the Premier League form. This is what I was touching on a little bit earlier when I was talking about the home form and the away form. This is something that has to be taken into consideration because teams won't falter away from this. They'll barely falter. This has been consistent throughout the Premier League seasons. Teams just don't start winning and improving all these records. Normally, it's a consistent pattern, a consistent trend. So you would expect it to follow, for example, Watford being dire at home and Watford being half decent away. What I think it's going to work against Watford is the fact that they have got so many tough games away from home now. So yeah, definitely worth taking into consideration. Leeds 16th, which you would expect, that we're averaging, aren't we? We're averaging where those positions, home and away, we're as good home as we are away. So you would hope that mediates and Leeds are able to pick some points up there. Burnley 18th, look, and 18th there. Listen, Burnley aren't just dramatically going to start picking up points. It's just whether or not Dyche can get that extra 10% out of this Burnley squad that he normally can at this point of the season. Everton's really interesting because if you look at their away form here, it's absolutely horrendous, but their home form is decent. And Watford are in roles reverse. Look, their home form is woeful, but their away form is decent. So it's going to be really, really interesting to see what happens. I think when you talk about motivation, I think when you talk about everything like that, I genuinely believe that Dyche has got the minerals to get this Burnley squad out of it. The problem is they've had this same nucleus, Tarkowski, Ben Mee, Charlie Taylor, Matt Loughton, Nick Pope, Jack Cork, Westwood, Ashley Barnes. This core has been with Burnley now, when you're averaging it, for about 5 years. Is this the time where Burnley shrink into the Championship? I fully believe they'd come straight back up, by the way. I fully believe other teams like Norwich and Watford will still come back up as well. But I do wonder with Burnley, I wonder if they've blown the load and this is it. I think they may be acting a little bit too late here. There's another consideration as well. Burnley will be playing, I think they've got to stick about 11 games into about 6 or 7 weeks. You're averaging there sort of 1.8 to 2 games a week. That's got to be taken into consideration because they've got a small squad. You look already, Ben Mee was sent off. He went off injured, wasn't he? He went off injured and they've really struggled without him. And then Nathan Collins got sent off. The other centre-back that came in for Ben Mee. And they've not really got anybody to replace them. So they've got a small squad with a lack of quality. They're really relying on Wout Weghorst and Maxwell Cornet. Cornet's not been firing as much recently. Weghorst's gone off the boil a little bit since that Brighton win. So a lot to take into consideration, a hell of a lot to take into consideration. When you're talking about heart, desire, I do look at Burnley. I think they've got that in abundance. You think of the word grit and it's Burnley, isn't it? But I do worry about the quality. Whereas I think there's more quality within the Watford side, but maybe a lack of grit and desire and heart in comparison to that Burnley side, as I said, but more quality when you look at Ismail Sarr and Emmanuel Dennis. That might be a little bit harsh. I don't know about the Watford squad as much as I probably would about the Burnley squad, but they might have as much heart and desire. This is just an outsider's perspective, and we're trying to guess, aren't we, with everything here? So Another bit of the X factor as well, I think, which goes against Everton, is it's players who've played in the Championship. You look at that Burnley nucleus, a lot of them have played in the Championship. You look at that Watford nucleus, a lot of them have played in the Championship. Norwich, obviously, a lot of them played in the Championship, but they've gone. Leeds, the exact same. You look, we've kept a lot of the Championship nucleus. These players know what it's like to be down there. These players know what it's been like to get up to the Premier League. Everton, excuse me, Everton don't really have that. You look at maybe Ben Godfrey, Michael Keane, but Michael Keane's been in the Premier League for a long time now. A lot of these other teams that are down there have got recency bias with recency understanding of being in the Championship. So that's something to take into consideration as well. Is that going to give them that extra 5-10%? It's all speculative, guys, but I'm going to tell you who I think will go down. My bottom three for going down to the Championship. Dire drum roll. It is going to be Burnley. I feel they're going to finish 18th. I think that lack of quality is just going to hurt them. I think it's at its end point now with Burnley. Even with the games that they've got left, I can see a lot of draws. I really can, but not wins. And they need wins. What are they on? 21 points now? I think 35 points for me keeps you in the division this year, potentially even 36. Burnley 18th, Watford 19th. I think that they have got that X factor, but I think those away games where they've been good this season are going to cripple them. They've got City, Liverpool, and Chelsea away from home, and Palace. That's going to be really difficult for them. And obviously Norwich. That's going to be it. I think Everton will get out of it. I think the home games, and they'll just get over the line. I think there's a couple of teams who will fold in that first 20, 25 minutes when Everton are on top. I think they've got enough quality. I think Anthony Gordon's going to be their key player. I think Everton will just stay up, but I think they're going to be in the mire next season. I think they're going to be in serious trouble still. They're on the FFP breach right now, so it's going to be interesting to see how many players they sell on. And finally, guys, just in light of Victor Orta's comments yesterday, I just want to come out and say there's been a lot of Calvin Phillips and Rafinha chat. Leeds have to get this right next year. We do not want to be in this position again. It's been horrendous. It's been gut-wrenching. We still may go down. This isn't a Leeds will not go down video. It is in my opinion, but it's not factual. We could still be going down this year. Touch wood, we won't. But we have to avoid this. And with his comments about an 18-man squad, with his comments about having 4 under-23s within that setup and having a 22-man squad altogether, really, and keeping that Marcelo Bielsa legacy, you're doing the wrong thing there, mate. And I'll call it out now. I called the summer window as an absolutely shocking window. I said before the winter window that we wouldn't do any business. I was unfortunately correct. This cannot happen in the summer again. You have to back this new man. This new man is going to implement an entirely new system. It's going to be nothing like what the running system is. It's going to be nothing like, it's going to have no Bielsa-isms in it. It's going to be Jesse Marsh's system. We have to build players for that system. If you're getting rid of Rafinha, which I think is going to happen this summer, we have to get the utmost value for him. I'm not talking about 30, 40, 50 million. We're talking here about a player that could fit into any side in world football. You get minimum 65 million for this kid. Minimum 65 million. And that's got to be reinvested in the squad because there are so many players in this team. Unfortunately, that romanticism's ran out for everybody. And it's all about keeping Leeds in the Premier League for this club's long-term future. That's got to be reinvested. It's got to be reinvested well. We've got to back the manager. And this summer has got to be a big one for Leeds United because we can't stand this again. I can't wait for this season to be over. And this isn't an ego thing with Leeds United. Oh, we should be higher up in the table. But there's got to be a clear communication. There's got to be a clear framework and a clear recruitment model. And this guy seriously needs to be backing, or Leeds are going to be in this position again. If we do not improve vastly, if certain players don't come out, if certain players don't come in, Leeds United, in my opinion, are going to be holding up the Premier League next year. So that needs to be avoided at all costs. I'm going into this with positivity, but don't prove me wrong, Leeds. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Who is your 3 to go down this year, everybody? I hope you've enjoyed the video. Do you agree? Do you disagree? What's going to go on with Leeds? Let me know what you think in the comment section below. I'll see you in a bit.